Hello, Dungeon Masters. Welcome along to our newest map-making time-lapse. This map took me around 40 minutes to make in Dungeon Alchemist. I think I'll add this to my list of Storm Diver events from my recent video. So this week, we are continuing our theme of hot-based maps, as I need more of them in my portfolio for other projects I'm working on. Whilst we are all eagerly awaiting the new magic update from Dungeon Alchemist, I thought I would get a few points of interest maps smashed out before I follow the new content into magic-based goodies. So as I said, hot map. This week we're making a desert ruin for discovery. So this building we are making is less a building and more an outline of a building, or perhaps just the shell of a building. So the key details of this map are as follows. I wanted some large rocks to loom over the hidden ruin, protecting what little of the structure has survived the years from sand and wind erosion. It also allows you to have an ambush from above whilst the players are investigating the ruin. I would likely have some giant vultures circling the players from high above, casting fast moving shadows across the floor, which will get the players to look up a few times before they start to ignore them. Then I would likely give them another perception check to spot a slow moving or near stationary shadow to work out something is above them but not flying. The attackers will spawn from the elevated four corners. It will allow for those players who like to hide at the back to have an up-close encounter. A good time for the frontliners to save them potentially. Snail carvings in the rocks and a giant skeleton to show the potential of multiple past owners. A fountain and source of water is still flowing. Two different ways to descend into the building's basement floors to allow for a dungeon run and some loot. Lastly, some giant stone faces to represent old worship and a nice little bit of foreshadowing if you like that kind of thing. I find with maps in the desert that I like to add quite a lot of clutter on the ground. I find the extra noise on the map makes it look a little better. Do you think the amount of clutter on the map improves it or just makes it look too busy? I wanted the fountain on this map to be a source of life, even if the water probably isn't safe to drink for humanoids. Moss and a lone orchid plant cling to life contained within its little basin. I also wanted the fountain to hint at there being a source of water below somewhere. This could create the urge to explore the dark drops into the dungeon below. If you wanted to be kind, you could indicate that the fountain looks firm enough to tie a rope to descend into one of the pits. Personally, I would do that if my players looked lost. I will leave that up to you. I think this map would benefit from a buried treasure, but in the end, I decided just to hide a golden vase beside the undeath face statue. When I write this into my campaign, I will likely make a version of this map that is a bit more of a base camp, so once they've cleared it out, they can rest there and have a map for that. This will also allow me to have a rival group of storm divers to find them due to their campfire, or potentially to have some nocturnal creatures wander by and cause a second fight. I like to keep my options open for the reuse of maps. I love that Dungeon Alchemist makes it simple to change the time of day, as I'm sure you're all aware. Now, we should put together a little description for our players. We shouldn't need too much, but enough to get them to investigate the items we want them to. Hidden among the sinuous folds of the wind-eroded rocks, a desert ruin whispers tales of a forgotten civilization. The rocks, sculpted by centuries of harsh desert winds, form a natural fortress around the crumbling remnants of what once perhaps was a living outpost or a sacred temple. The central feature of this decayed site is a small fountain, nearly lost to time and sand, yet still managing to trickle a sparse stream of water into the basin. Despite the arid surroundings, the scant moisture nurtures a patch of green moss and cradles a lone orchid that blooms defiantly against the backdrop of desolation. The orchid's vivid colours and delicate form contrast starkly with the rough, sandy texture of the ruin, serving as a poignant symbol of resilience and beauty in adversity. Surrounding the fountain, the ruins are mostly buried under drifts of sand that have swept through over the ages, concealing whatever secrets might lie beneath. However, two grand faces carved from the local sandstone stand as sentinels amidst the decay. These aged stone faces, with their enigmatic expressions, might have once been gods, guardians, or esteemed ancestors watching over the site. Their features are worn, but still discernible. One has the look of undeath, and the other of a beautiful priestess. Directly in front of each sandstone face is a narrow yet deep pit, edges crumbled and eroded, leading into profound darkness. These pits appear to plunge into the very bowels of the earth, perhaps leading to underground chambers or passageways that were part of the ruin's original design. The unknown depth and purpose of these pits adds an element of intrigue and danger, suggesting that the ruin still holds secrets waiting to be unearthed by the brave or the foolish. Just outside the western wall, the ribcage of a giant creature lies partially embedded in the sand, its massive bones bleached by the sun and time. This skeletal remnant hints at the scale of life that once roamed this area, perhaps drawn by the same source of water that nourishes the ruin's stubborn orchid. Scattered around the ruin, numerous cacti thrust upwards, their spiky forms dotting the landscape. Some broadleaf succulents are also sparsely dotted around. These hardy plants thrive in harsh conditions, their presence adding a rugged life to the desolate setting. Carved into the surrounding red stone, a small snail motif spirals quietly, a stark contrast to the grandeur of the large faces. These carvings suggest a reverence for both the monumental and the minute, perhaps embodying a cultural or spiritual symbolism significant to the people who once inhabited this enigmatic site. Okay, so that should do for the description. Hopefully, you can find a place to use this map in your setting. I hope this inspires you. I think I'll do one more desert map before I mix things up a little. That is unless you want to see the dungeon below this ruin. If you have a suggestion on what map you would like to see in the future, then pop a note below for me. As always, please help me to make more videos for you. It's free and easy to do. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want more. Dropping a comment also helps push my videos to more games masters, so thank you for taking the time to do so. Let others know where to find this channel, and together we can help games masters make more immersive maps. If you wanted to support my content and channel, you can always hop over to my Patreon, details listed below. May the dice ever be in your favour.